Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and today is something of a milestone for me here. Today marks 6 months since I launched this YouTube channel, the Moon Lambo channel. And so I wanted to use this as an opportunity to send out a very sincere thanks before I get going at all in this video to everybody that has liked any of my videos, everybody that has subscribed, and even if you haven't done either of those, even if you just watched one of my videos once, a sincere thank you for giving me the time of day. I know there's a lot of great content providers in the XRP community in particular, and so you know, the fact that you're willing to hear me out at all, the whole thing's completely humbling to me. And my channel is small. I have at this point a little over 1,800 subscribers, but even though it is small, that's more than I ever thought I'd have. And so it's just kind of mind-blowing to me, because I started this channel thinking, whatever, this is a passion for me, so it's a hobby, this is a good vehicle for me to participate more within the XRP community. And I thought, I don't even care if 5 people listen to me, I still want to do it. And so the fact that my channel's even grown to this point, there's been a lot of growth, in particular over the last couple of weeks. It's just the coolest thing to me, and I just want you guys to know that I'm very grateful. And again, since it's 6 months in, I thought this is a great opportunity to kind of mark that. And I know I thank you guys a lot in the videos. It's because I'm that appreciative, and I really want to say at the 6-month mark, wow, thank you so much. I'm so appreciative. So anyway, there's several things that I want to cover in today's video. From Daily Hodl, they have an interesting piece out. It has to do with the progress that Ripple's making. They had a similar article just a couple days ago that I covered, but here's another one. It has to do with the progress that Ripple's making in terms of getting, in particular, XCurrent adopted, and there's a little bit of info about XRapid in there, just big picture stuff. But of course, as we know, if somebody's a customer for XCurrent, Ripple's XCurrent, then they're a potential XRapid customer, which of course uses XRP, so that's fun. I've also got I got 2 pieces on bullish indicators here in terms of price action for XRP. One is from Yahoo Finance, and I'll just have to show you the specifics when I pull it up. But there could be, in terms of percent, in the short term, they're thinking could be fairly explosive movement. Not that it would get back to all-time highs, I'm not saying that, but in terms of percent, it sounded like it was pretty big. So since I'm not a technical analysis guy, I find this type of content highly fascinating. And since I read that, I thought, oh, this is neat. I thought I'd share it with you. Also, Binance, they are no longer going to be accepting US customers. I think September 12th is the cutoff for that. I'll pull up the article for you, but no more US customers for Binance.com later in the year. But don't worry, they're not forsaking us. As it turns out, they're going to be launching what I believe they're dubbing Binance US. So the United States is going to, their customers in the US, we're going to have our own platform apparently. And so I'm going to talk to you about that, what it means for you if you have XRP on their platform, since it looks like we're going to get the boot. So we'll cover that. And then also in a previous video, very recently, it was my last 1 or 2 videos ago, I was talking about Facebook Coin, and what it means. Is it a competitor against XRP, against Bitcoin, against the dollar, fiat currencies? And I'll briefly rehash what I said, because I have additional points that I want to make, because this is in the news. It's not going away anytime soon. Some people think that this is going to be very, very good for the crypto space. Some people think that, again, it's just a new competitor for some of the existing cryptocurrencies. So I will share with you my additional thoughts here. Before moving forward, though, I would like to politely request that you delicately tap that like button if you would. It definitely helps out the channel. YouTube has a fun algorithm that I'll never understand, but the more people that hit that, I do know that's good. And also, if you would consider subscribing, I definitely appreciate that. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to make a really compelling case for why you should subscribe. Because you might be asking, you're like, Moon Lambo? Why should I subscribe to Moon Lambo? You've got a stupid name, and you talk too much. And I say, well, I'm a YouTuber, so yeah, I'm going to talk too much. That's just how that goes. But look. Check it out. I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I saved 15% on my car insurance by switching to Geico. And my YouTube channel is so tasty, cats ask for it by name. Moon Lambo. Now, if that's not a compelling case, I don't know what is. On to the content. All right, Ripple, here, well, the title here, and this is from Daily Hodl. Ripple says 14 new banks and financial institutions just joined RippleNet. Ripple's global head of banking says the company's network of banks and financial institutions, called RippleNet, is growing at a rapid rate. In a new interview with Bob's Guide, Marjan Delatine, I still don't know how to say her name, so Marjan Delatine talks about the impact of blockchain technology in the world of finance, and says 14 new banks and financial institutions have signed up for RippleNet in the past few weeks alone. And Marjan, she is a Ripple employee. I think she's global head of banking or something to that effect. It's not in the piece here, but I'm just kind of pulling from memory. It's something along those lines. You can Google it if you want to check. Anyway, and she states, among general audiences, they will still think that blockchain is the same as Bitcoin. But honestly, what we see among banks and financial institutions that we are working with, and we have signed up with 14 in the past few weeks, is a decoupling of the concept of crypto assets and what the underlying technology can bring. It very much depends on how you define blockchain. If you're talking about speculation around Bitcoin and individual use cases, then people will probably laugh at the idea because it's not clear. But if you're really talking about cross-border payments, Ripple is leading in the space because of the approach that we have taken. We haven't limited ourselves to the crypto use case, and that has helped banks and financial institutions embrace the technology. And that is spectacular news because, as I stated at the beginning of the video, and you well know, if somebody's using Xcurrent, which is by and large what's happening here, everyone's adopting Xcurrent right now, dipping the toes in the water. Those are potential future XRapid customers. And if that is a solution that is going to result in a better customer experience at a lower price, what do you think's going to happen? Yeah, it's all just a matter of time. It's all just a matter of time here. And check out this next quote of her from Marjan, because she was talking about how it's all about liquidity, liquidity, liquidity. And she's talking about how in smaller countries it's much more difficult to move capital. And here's what she has to say on that. This is where you will come face to face with the limitations of a piece of technology which has been in use for 40 years. She's talking about Swift there, of course. And you will need something new. Liquidity management is really where the cost lies for banks, because now some of the oldest markets in the world are moving to real time. Of course, this is for small ticket amounts, but as soon as your system and process is adapted to that, you can move to the large ticket amounts. When that occurs, I think there will be a convergence towards new technology, and the banks will experience it. Experts in liquidity management are realizing now just how far this new technology can bring them. After all, payments start with liquidity and end with liquidity. And it's just, look, it's always good news. I'm always going to share this type of content with you because even though it doesn't specifically, I'm going to talk about XRP price in a second. This doesn't specifically relate to XRP price in the short term. They're building something that will absolutely directly impact the actual price of XRP as it gets adopted, as more market makers jump on board, connecting more corridors that currently are really fractured and result in poor customer experiences no matter what middleman you're using to move the money. And it's just so expensive, And check this out. Here's how the piece ends here. It says, most of Ripple's clients use the company's real-time payment messaging system Xcurrent to move money. Ripple's XRP-based XRapid, which launched for commercial production in October of last year, is currently moving money between Mexico and the Philippines. Now, this is real cool here. I think I cited this in the past here. Mercury FX is the most high-profile company using the payment route. They're using XRapid, XRP. It says it's looking to use XRapid across 10 payment corridors this year, including routes to Canada and the Middle East. And that's fascinating. These are just entrepreneurs taking advantage of the technology that Ripple has painstakingly got into the market after, even though there's been tremendous resistance from them, because they're basically like reinventing the wheel, and it's endlessly impressive to me, but they're really pulling it off. And so while it makes sense that, as I've stated before, Ripple is going after the low-hanging fruit, the most fractured corridors, really, and that's why they're starting with improving the customer experience and cost for remittances into corridors into Mexico and the Philippines. And I cited Brazil the other day too, even though that's not mentioned in this particular piece here. But that's all coming down the pike, guys. It's all coming. And as this happens, that means more and more market makers get involved. And don't forget, there are so many more exchanges that are trading XRP compared to where XRP was during the last bull run, in particular December of 2017. I don't remember the number, but it may be more than double. I think there's over 100 exchanges now, and I could be mistaken. Maybe I should look it up again. But I want to say that maybe XRP is traded in somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 exchanges back then, and now it's more than doubled. So regardless, that's more people that have, the easier it is for a potential retail speculator like you or me to buy XRP, the more likely they are to actually buy XRP. It's on Coinbase and a bazillion other exchanges, and it's going to be, as a result, I think it's going to be that much more insane when the next bull run comes, whether we're in the beginning phases of a bull run now or not. Remains to be seen. I suspect we probably are. It looks like we saw the bottom with Bitcoin being close to 3,000. I think XRP, the lowest I saw, is probably close to 25 cents. Well, man, that seems like a buy now, doesn't it? As XRP's like 39 or 40 cents as I speak. Ew, I'd like to see that again. Not really. No, I know we got to go forward, but it was a good buying opportunity, right? All right, check out this. This is the piece I was telling you about from Yahoo Finance. And it's titled, XRP price could soar more than 60% based on technical signals, analyst says here. And here we go. This is, there we go. By CCN Markets on June 6, author and chartist Peter Brandt took to Twitter to share his bullish view on Ripple's price action. In his tweet, he mentioned two cryptocurrencies flashing bullish signals against Tether, USDT, Litecoin, and Ripple. Of course, they mean XRP. One day people are going to learn that Ripple is a company and XRP is a decentralized cryptocurrency, but we're not there yet. Baby steps. Right? While he did not specify the targets for Litecoin, he emphasized two target prices for Ripple, again, means XRP, which are 56.88 cents and 62.6 cents. And here's the tweet that he put out. Peter Brandt, crypto charts of interest. LTC BTC has completed a significant buy signal. New recovery highs in XRP would be constructive with targets of 56.88 cents and 62.6 cents. And who is this Peter Brandt guy? They go to cover it down here. Peter Brandt is one of the most respected figures in the crypto community on Twitter. While he runs a paid group on his website, he shares some of his insights with his followers. His account has been active since February 2011, and he has amassed over 281,000 followers here. So, again, and he doesn't exactly say what the timing would be for this, but I get the cut of his jib. It's soon. And, let me pull up this next chart here, because this guy, he has a very similar opinion. It's hard to peg, you can't peg the exact day. It's not going to happen. It's a fluke if you get that right, in my opinion. But here, this is from FX Street. Ripple's XRP technical analysis, XRP/USD bullish flag subject to a breakout. So they got 3 bullet points here. Ripple's XRP price is trading marginally in the red, down just some 0.6% in the second half of the session. XRP/USD via the daily chart view sees a bullish technical setup, pennant structure subject to a breakout. And I'm not a TA guy, so I'm not going to pretend that I know what that means. But I do know this is good. At least what he's saying is good. We'll see what happens. Heavy near-term supply remains running from 40 cents up to 41 cents, capping upside potential at present. And you can see he's got this little wedge thing. I always see the TA guys drawing this stuff in their lines. And the point is, and I do understand conceptually what that means. And when you see this little wedge here that's on my screen, it means that it's going to break out after that, typically in a noticeable way, up or down. And the general consensus seemed to be, in particular, since we're in a bull market, that it should likely be to the upside. And if so, that's where this Peter Brandt guy, flipping back to here, that's why he believes it would go up to potentially roughly 56 to 62 cents. Now, I know that's not $3.80. It's not the all-time high. It's not the $10 or $20 that we want. So if you're asking me, win Moon, win Lambo. Actually, when people ask me that, I say, Friday, 2 p.m. I have no idea. Friday, 2 p.m. That's what it is. But I don't know when it's going to get to that. But still, if you're considering going from 40 cents to maybe upwards of 62 cents roughly, I mean, that's a big percentage gain, upwards of 60%, like you said here. So it's movement in the right direction. And I don't know that we're ever going to see XRP as cheap as it was, a little over a month ago. Mid-May, before the most recent breakout, XRP was around 30 cents. It was hovering in the upper 20s, lower 30s. I even made a video about that. It was stagnant long enough. People are like, what is going on with this? I even made a video about it. But yeah, it's progress. It's just progress long term. And volume, I want to pull this up too. I pulled this up not for price. This is Live Coin Watch here. XRP is trading at 39.27 cents right now, according to Live Coin Watch. The volume is a little over a billion, the 24-hour volume. And just for reference, a month ago when the bull run really started to kick off for XRP, when it jumped from roughly 30 cents, and I think it got a high inside of a couple of days of maybe 47 cents or so before settling back down a little bit lower. It had a 24-hour volume. I remember looking at it. It was over 5 billion. But this is what happens. What I've seen, again, I am not a TA guy. I don't do technical analysis, but the little bit that I do see from these guys that do this for a living, they anytime they show these wedge patterns, what typically happens, what I've seen them communicate anyway, is that once you hit that breaking point where it does go up or down, a tremendous volume typically follows. So even though it's low, that doesn't mean that something isn't going to happen. That's what I've learned, you know. And again, to be clear, this is not financial advice. I want to be real clear on that because I have no financial background. I'm an XRP community enthusiast. That's it. I love talking about that stuff. That's why I'm here. And I love hearing your opinion too, so always drop comments down below if you want me to read your point of view. I read as much as I possibly can because I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. So anyway, it's all progress. Things are coming here. Now, Binance, check this out. So this is from CoinDesk. Binance says it's launching a US exchange with FinCEN registered partner. So presumably this more so than anything has to do with complying from a regulatory standpoint. And Binance, they haven't announced a whole bunch. I skimmed through this piece. I didn't read every word because it doesn't matter for the point that I wanted to make. Really, what I wanted to talk about was about how this could affect your XRP holdings. Now, you guys know that there is if you hold XRP, when you open a wallet, there's a reserve of 20 XRP that once you put it in, you cannot get that out. Now, technically, over time, as validators can vote to change the threshold, the reserve, and so they could change that to whatever they want. They could make it go up, they could make it go down. So I suspect as the price of XRP increases, the market rate, I suspect that the reserve quantity is going to decrease, and it already has. Going from memory, I think that the reserve quantity used to be at one point like 300 or something like that, but that was when XRP was worth a lot less. So changes can be voted upon and implemented, and that's all fine. That makes sense. So you can get some of that reserve back, presumably, assuming the value goes up and then voting takes place to change that. So if you've got XRP on Binance, you may be worried, okay, I can't, so I'm not, if I'm a US customer, what am I just going to lose the 20 XRP reserve on Binance? And the answer is actually no. And I know this specifically because I used to use Binance, and I still have a Binance account, but I took all of my crypto off of exchanges, especially my XRP. That's my most important one, and I happen to use a Ledger Nano X. It's worked beautifully for me. And when I took off the XRP, I thought I wasn't going to be able to get that last 20 out, but I was. I was able to withdraw everything. And I later learned that's because Binance is actually using a shared wallet. Basically, it's a Binance wallet, and you may be wondering what that destination tag is for that, annoyingly, you have to input when you're transacting on Binance, and other exchanges as well. It's because there's a shared wallet, and then the destination tag is basically direction to your specific user account. And as a result, there is a reserve of 20 in that shared Binance wallet. But you pulling your XRP out isn't going to make that Binance wallet dip below 20 XRP. So you can pull out everything that you have. And so there's no sense of urgency to do this because I understand, again, from what I've read, that Binance is not kicking out us US customers until later in the year. And if you're not in the US, then this may not apply to you anyway, but maybe you learned something about the 20 XRP reserve, if nothing else, if you didn't know some of those specifics. But yeah, as more news comes on this, I'll be sure to share it with you guys. And this is where I got, I haven't seen this guy before, but this is where I got that, I think I said it earlier, that September 12th date. That's when, from what he says, and I didn't see it anywhere else, but he says that Binance will no longer accept US customers. So it doesn't explicitly state that we'll be kicked off September 12th, but no more new US customers at that point. So take that for what it's worth. And here we go, Anthony Pompliano. I love following this guy, even though he seems like pretty much a Bitcoin maxi. He doesn't say bad stuff about XRP. He seems like a pretty classy guy, but I don't think he's an XRP believer. But that's okay. Like, I can still like somebody if they have a different opinion to me. That's perfectly fine, and same for you guys too. Diversity of opinion is perfectly fine, and it's actually ideal when thinking through a complex topics such as this, especially when it comes to us actually investing our money into cryptocurrencies, right? And so he tweeted out this. This is about Facebook here. Facebook's coin. Facebook has secured Visa and MasterCard as two of the backers for their new cryptocurrency. Very positive signs for future adoption of Bitcoin, right? And I read a piece, I can't remember if it was CoinDesk or Cointelegraph, and I didn't pull it up for the sake of this video, but Visa and MasterCard, they're each investing roughly $10 million. And I saw some other names in there too. I think Uber was one of them. So they got some real big names in there that are seriously backing this Facebook stablecoin. So, hey, you know, maybe something will come of it. Maybe there's an actual use for it. Barry Silbert tweeted this out. The launch of Facebook's cryptocurrency will go down in history as the catalyst that propelled digital assets, including Bitcoin, to mass global consumer adoption. Will be remembered as just as important and transformative as the launch of Netscape Browser. And you may remember the Netscape Browser unless you're too young, but it was the first mega popular browser, and I don't remember the whole story of why, but it's gone. It went it went bye way of the dodo. It's defunct. So and it's crazy though. It was the most popular. Like, I used a Netscape browser back in the day. I mean, I'm 36, so yeah, I was around in the 90s using that crap. But anyway, and I want to share this with you before I get into more of the Facebook comment. This is a follow-up. Barry Silbert tweeted this out. This is June 21st, 2017. He did a poll on Twitter, and I found this fascinating, so I want to share it with you. He tweeted out, who will be the first to embrace digital currency? And the options were Alibaba, Amazon, Facebook, or Google. Those are the four that he put out there. 52% voted Alibaba, 31% voted Amazon, 12% voted Google, only 5% voted Facebook. And that 5% was correct. So kudos to you. You won a cookie. So I just thought that was kind of fascinating. Because you never know how stuff's going to pan out, though. Facebook actually is coming out first with this. And will the other ones follow? Yeah, maybe. Let's find out. Just kind of have to wait and see. So, look, I'm just going to briefly rehash my point, because I'm sure not everybody saw the last video I made where I was talking about Facebook coin. But points were made where Facebook coin... it's a threat. People have different opinions. Is it a threat against Bitcoin? Is it a threat against XRP? Is it a threat against the United States dollar? And there are people with all three of those points of view, and I say they're all wrong. Since when has a stablecoin been a threat to XRP? Since when has a stablecoin been a threat to Bitcoin? Think about that. Think about it this way. You guys are all aware of Tether, which is backed by the US dollar. In theory, apparently, actually, we recently found out only about 74% of it is actually backed by United States dollars, which is fascinating. And it didn't cause a market crash or anything, but whatever. I thought that was kind of scary news. I don't use it, so whatever. But it'd be the same thing as saying, because it's the same functionality, really. You know, I mean, developers can build on top of decentralized technology. So, or if it's a walled garden, Facebook can go for different use cases. But in terms of it being centralized, you know. Tether's backed just like the Facebook coin is. The Facebook coin is going to be backed by a basket of fiat currencies. Which ones hasn't been announced. Of course, it's going to be the United States dollar. That's a world reserve currency. Of course, it's going to be that. I don't know how many others, though. And it's still going to be a walled garden situation, though. And so, you know, I don't see... If Tether can't be used for remittances, and it can't because there's a central point of failure and banks just aren't going to trust it, well, it's the same situation for the Facebook coin. And in terms of, is it going to displace Bitcoin? Well, no, it's not going to displace Bitcoin. That's a completely, you know, you can argue how much Bitcoin's decentralized, but it is decentralized. And you can utilize peer-to-peer slow, but peer-to-peer nonetheless exchanges of the value of Bitcoin. And you consider this. And then there was a third guy that said, I remember it was Matty Greenspan with eToro, and he said that the Facebook coin is competing with the dollar, the United States dollar, and that's just absolutely incorrect. And let me articulate why. I don't think I did a great job explaining. Maybe I did an okay job, but I think I could have done better. So this is one of the points I really wanted to make. Okay, so the Facebook coin being backed by the US dollar, understand that if your position is that Facebook's coin is going to compete with the dollar, which means that they're taking market share away from the dollar, as in the dollar is going to be used less, you're wrong, and here is why. There is no value of the Facebook coin without the fiat currencies, so US dollar being one of them. So what market share is being taken if you are transacting using the Facebook coin? You're still using United States dollars in a different capacity if you are in the United States and you're for a different country, and there's because it's a basket of currencies. If you're using the peso, one of the pesos out there, well, okay, that's fine too. But you're not taking market share away. In fact, there's no functionality behind it if it's not backed by backers like Visa and MasterCard. They're throwing in $10 million each, for example, like I just cited. So they've raised a lot of money to actually back this so that people can use it. But given that that money is not just going wayside, it is tied up. It is actually tied up. These people that are using that have this money, the companies that are investing it, it's still being used. That is not going away. So that is a use. It's being used. It's being used to fund to provide value of this Facebook coin as a liability, and that's why you can use that as a new mechanism to move it. And so if you think that this Facebook coin is competing with the U.S. dollar, I'm sorry, I respectfully disagree. I think you're wrong on that if you hold that opinion. But that's okay. We can all have different opinions. To me, that makes no logical sense. It's a non sequitur, and so I frankly can't see that happening. And then, furthermore, consider from the consumer side, why is it the case that, Bitcoin is having trouble? Set aside the fact that it's slow and energy intensive and all that stuff. Why is Bitcoin having trouble taking hold as a mechanism for peer-to-peer currency? Why are people choosing, like even people that know that Bitcoin's out there, why are more people using fiat currency still? And I can tell you what the biggest answer is. At least in the first world, people by and large in the planet, they're not experiencing a lot of friction moving money. And so we understand that payment and settlement are different. You consider, and let me distinguish between the two. Let's say you make a payment, you buy something with your credit card, right? You buy something with your credit card and you consider that transaction to be complete, that it's paid for. But in reality, it's not, because you still have to pay the credit card company, and then after that, the credit card company has to pay the vendor. And that's the settlement portion, when the vendor actually gets their money. But there's a delay, there's this lag time. And so if you're the consumer, you're looking at the front-facing technology, you're like, money moves instantly. It does appear that way, doesn't it? When you buy something with your credit card, the money just moved. It didn't move. You owe the money still. It absolutely did not move. And so as a result, even though that settlement layer isn't happening, which we do want to get rid of because there's layers of human management that no longer to be there, which can bring down the cost for cross-border payments, that absolutely can happen. But you're not seeing that because there's no incentive, at least especially in particular in terms of utilizing cryptocurrencies for the peer-to-peer value moving use case, which was the initial use case proposed by Satoshi Nakamoto. So you're just not seeing that. What's the incentive? For instance, I look at it in my life. I'm using the United States dollar. Why would I want to use Bitcoin over that? And especially when even if Bitcoin were just as fast as it is for me to use a credit card and just as cheap. So there's that, but look, I just don't see fiat currencies going away anytime soon, and that's why I've stated in the past that I believe that it is possible that cryptocurrencies absolutely can grow to the point where there is realization of that actual use case, the peer-to-peer transferring without a central authority. That can happen. But you're going to need more friction. If it starts to take hold in third world countries where there's rampant inflation, perhaps, I could see it taking hold there first if Bitcoin ends up being less volatile. And I think it will be less volatile as more retail speculators get in, even if they're just using it as a store of value. Same for XRP. And so I can see that taking hold, but although the proposal for Bitcoin to be used as a mechanism for peer-to-peer currencies without a counterpart, although that was the first use case ever proposed for cryptocurrencies, it might be the case that that's one of the last use cases that we ever see adopted for cryptocurrencies. And that's why I'm more excited about XRP and how it can be used today as a bridge currency, because there is an instant need for that. And consider it's going to actually improve the customer experience and the expense for the customer, right? Because you're talking about having some transfers in some of the more exotic corridors with a great chain of bilateral banking relationships that are all intermediaries. You could have transactions that take 7 days or whatever it is, so you can get that cut down to 3 seconds at least as far as the transaction time on the XRP ledger, and then there's the time for local rails. Okay, a hair longer than that, but if you can get that cut down that much and the cost cut down by 70%, and on top of that, people, the people that are making these transfers, they're moving their money from the U.S. to the Philippines or to Mexico, whatever it is. they don't have to hold the cryptocurrency. So there's not as much of a stumbling block in terms of adoption. You know, you can have the smart IT people behind the scenes implement Xcurrent and Xrapid, and bam, it's just done. And then all of a sudden, consumers have a better experience, and maybe they don't even understand why, but it's less expensive, and then the money's moving quicker. And that's why I think that type of use case is going to be adopted first. But in terms of what Facebook is doing, look, the truth is, whatever opinion you have about this, and I'll pull up this is the last thing I'm going to pull up here, and it's on the same topic. Like, whatever your opinion is about the use case for Facebook here, look, Facebook has not released their white paper. They're supposed to on June 18th, and then we'll have more information. I'm willing to bet, since these are not stupid people, they have a legit use case. So just like there can be a use case for Bitcoin, there can be a use case for XRP, there's a use case for the United States dollar, why can't there also be a separate use case for the Facebook coin that doesn't make it compete with XRP or Bitcoin or the United States dollar? It's the same thing, just like Tether has its own use case, and it's not competing with XRP. Tether's not competing with the US dollar. It's backed by it. And Tether is not competing with Bitcoin either. It's the same concept. They are not mutually exclusive, right? And until I have new news come out that says otherwise, that's to me what makes logical sense. And if new news comes out, then of course I reserve the right to change my opinion when there's new data, but I don't know how it could be. So really what I'm more interested in is seeing what Facebook comes out and says their actual use case is for their coin, and how they're going to position it. I'm sure there's some smart guys that figured out a good use case for a stable coin. I'm not saying there's no value to stable coins, and if Facebook wants to get more market share with their stable coin that's backed by a basket of fiat currencies, more power to them, but it's not going to put us at risk as XRP holders, as Bitcoin holders, or as holders of the United States dollar. I'm sorry, it's just not. That's my opinion. Not financial advice, okay? And that's why when I read this is from Peter Schiff, and he's a big anti-Bitcoin guy. I really like the guy, I really do, and I follow him to a certain degree. He's wrong on Bitcoin, and then Anthony Pompliano, who I cited earlier, he had a response. So let me read just a few of these little tweets here, and I'll kind of jump in with my thoughts on it if I haven't already spouted what I meant to say about this. But 5 hours ago, Peter Schiff tweeted out, Facebook's new cryptocurrency, Libra, is bad news for Bitcoin. Facebook will target the very market Bitcoin is counting on for growth, the unbanked in nations with high inflation. Libra will be stable and much easier and cheaper to use as a medium of exchange than Bitcoin. Okay, now before I get to Anthony Pompliano's response here, let me just touch on what I just said a moment ago. We don't know what Facebook is intending to use this stable coin for. They've let out almost no detail. Like there are very tight lips on this. It's very hush hush, and that was by design. They don't want stuff leaking out. I got that. And so when Peter Schiff here says that they're going to target the very market Bitcoin is going for, the unbanked in nations with high inflation, is that explicitly what they're going for? Because I'll tell you what, if they're backed by the United States dollar, that is those are not unbanked people using the United States dollar, at least in the United States. I understand it's a world reserve currency, but I'm just saying that if you want to target the unbanked, you don't do it by using a stable coin, as far as I can tell. But but even if he's right, even if, and maybe he is, I want more detail on, but if he is, I want to hear it from Facebook. They haven't said that, so he's got another opinion here based on nothing, based on absolutely nothing. And Anthony Pompliano responded, false. In fact, the exact opposite is true. Like restaurants on an intersection, the more available, the better for each of them. Peter Schiff responded, and this was 1 hour ago. Not when one restaurant serves delicious food at low prices, Libra, while the other serves overpriced food that makes you sick to your stomach, Bitcoin. The only people who would visit the Bitcoin restaurant are those who don't actually want to eat the store of value buyers, right? And then Anthony responded this, and he didn't really, I kind of wish that he would have tackled the substance of what Peter said, because Peter did make a good point there. Bitcoin's slow, it's costly, and Lightning Network isn't really working right now. I don't know if it ever will, because it requires pre-funded accounts and this and that, and I'm not convinced. It seems like a centralized solution, completely antithetical to what the whole use case was supposed to be for Bitcoin in the first place, as a mechanism for peer-to-peer value transfer without a central authority. It just seems nope. So anyway, Anthony responded though, if you're so confident, let's bet 10 Bitcoin on whether Bitcoin hits $100,000 in the next 5 years. Should be easy decision to put your money where your mouth is if you truly believe what you're saying. So again, that's fine. Hey, if he wants to put that out there, that's totally cool. I still wish he would have responded to the substance of what Peter said, because Peter actually did have a valid point there. on that last one. I said, as far as his claims for how Facebook intends to use their stablecoin, come on, Peter, you gotta wait. To me, it's just like you're trying to find any negative thing you can say that has to do with the crypto space, right? So whatever. But that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. I really do appreciate all the support. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Have a great weekend.